keep your eye on one thing and one thing only, how much government is spending. Because that's the true tax. Every budget is balanced. There is no such thing as an unbalanced federal budget. You're paying for it. If you're not paying for it through it in the form of explicit taxes, you're paying for it indirectly in the form of inflation or in the form of borrowing. The thing you should keep your eye on is what government spends.
He's Milton posting again. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Folks, when Elon Musk, Rand Paul, and Thomas Massie all agree that a Republican bill is a disgusting abomination, you know something's seriously wrong. We're going to dive into President Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill. It can either be big or it can be beautiful, but it can't be both. You know what I'm saying? It just can't. It's like what Milton Friedman said there. He says, there is no such thing as an unbalanced federal budget. There isn't. You'll always pay for it, either in the form of inflation or in the form of borrowing money. Let's give it up for the OG. Milton Friedman gang. Friedman sounds like freedom, doesn't it? If you love freedom, you're in the right place. You're hanging out with people like Matt Unruh, Superstar, Cecilia H. Everybody knows Robbie Thurman is strapped. Get, don't mess with him. To the gills, Booyakasha. Cecilia H., she started the fun already. She wants to see that sweet bonus content. She dropped $5 in the kitty. Meow. Kim McCurry says, Rumble wasn't working for me yesterday until late afternoon. You missed out. Yesterday was an amazing show. We had tons of audience members. Everybody was loving it. They were clicking the like button. They were clicking the follow button. Andy Opperman was there. I don't think Fed Up Kentuckian was. We missed him. Don't you leave us. If you're one of the few, the proud, the brave, the regular viewers, you already know to click the like button. If you're new and you end up enjoying today's content, then click the follow button at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. And let's get this show on the road. The Wall Street Journal says President Trump is losing patience with Elon Musk. Aww. After Musk attacked Republicans' sprawling tax and spending bill, Musk is irked about Trump's decision to withdraw the nomination of a lead ally of a key ally to lead NASA. They say that this is kind of what it's all about. But if it's all about Musk, then why are people like Senator Ron Johnson saying things like this?
How would that help your case or your cause by splitting it into two? How would you do it?
Good morning. Well, first of all, we'd actually have time to do the work to forensically audit every line in the federal budget, every program. You know, there are over 2,600 programs in the federal budget. We haven't taken the time.
They haven't taken the time to do it. So they're not reading the bill. They're passing the bill. Where are the problems for asking them to read the bill and do their jobs? What's fascinating to me is how many people have been coming out, how many representatives have been coming out to say that they voted for it. They didn't read it. They say Marjorie Taylor Greene was one. I think we saw a second congressman yesterday. I'm still searching up that story because somebody had reported it to me, but I want to see the source. But allegedly another congressperson has come out and said that they voted for the bill. They didn't read it. I'm going to guess, let me show you behind the scenes here. I'm going to guess that the person who didn't read it is the person who made this stupid comment.
My issue is why wasn't he talking about this before the bill, right? Because those of us that were actually trying to make cuts, we could have used his support.
This is Representative Eli Crane talking about Elon Musk. Here's his criticism of Musk, who's come out against the big, beautiful bill.
My issue is why wasn't he talking about this before the bill, right? Because those of us that were actually trying to make cuts, we could have used his support. And that actually might have helped us out quite a bit.
Are you kidding me? Are you trying to tell me Representative Eli Crane of Arizona, are you trying that the guy who ran the Department of Government Efficiency wasn't speaking up about cutting government spending? Where was his support before the bill? Bitch, you're the congressman. What are you doing? You're telling me, and I just love all the criticism we're seeing. All right, Austin, calm down. I get my blood pressure up. Is it too early to start this, guys? I think probably. I need to ease you into this, okay? You've got to lick it before you stick it. You've got to get it hot and wet before. Okay, so before we launch into liberty tirades and epic freedom rants here on the Wake Up America show, guys, I got to set everything up for you. And here's the first setup. The first setup is the guests. We've got amazing guests on the show today. We've got Camellia Peterson. It's Thirsty Thursday, guys. It's a royal Thirsty Thursday. What am I doing? How am I not shouting this from the rooftops? We've got the king of all libertarians at 7:30. He wants to talk about Elon Musk going rogue, and we're going to talk to him. And then at 8 a.m., we've got the lovely ladies of liberty. Camellia Peterson's going to join us, and then Daniela Pensack. So the For Liberty Network is well represented today. Austin, what's the For Liberty Network? It's the network that I'm running. It's a 4-show network so far. All right, we'd love to add more shows. If you guys know good talent out there who might want to run live podcasts like these, have your own little merchandise collection in the For Liberty shop, and be a part of an awesome team of entrepreneurs who are trying to make liberty win in the United States, let us know. You can text the show at 573-319-1586. Again, the text line is 573-319-1586. One listener went over to forlibertyshop.com this morning, and he decided to make a purchase, and he decided to get himself an I voted for Elon Musk t-shirt. That puts us as $40 towards the $75 goal. We're not even, what, 11? We're 11 minutes in, really 5 to 6 because we had the commercials or the intro screen. 5 minutes in, and we're already well on the way to unlock the bonus content, which is if we hit $75 raised by the end of the show, either in purchases at the shop or in donations on Rumble, then we unlock the bonus content. That's how it works. Where was Elon Musk?
That's what frustrates me. Hey, if you're going to be in this fight when we need you, because we needed him.
A lot of Republican senators are telling me, including Senator Lisa Murkowski, and they want to push back the Medicaid work requirements. They think it's not workable. They also want to push back the phase out of the IRA tax credits. If it comes back,
it'll be dead. It'll be dead. So if the Senate wants to go that direction, then this bill is, it's not even close to passing. So they need to go further, or the bill's dead.
And therein lies the challenge there, Phil. As they're negotiating what to do in the Senate, do they move more towards the middle? Do they try to alleviate the concerns being raised by some of the more moderate senators, like Senator Lisa Murkowski, who told me that she had concerns about how they would implement these new work rules for Medicaid beneficiaries, as well as green energy tax credits that will be phased out under this plan? Some of these Republican senators simply believe that time frame is too aggressive, want to push back the phase out of that. But if they do that, they could cause some support on the far right of the House GOP and Senate GOP. And if it comes back, you heard Chip Roy right there. He said this bill is dead if they pare back those spending cuts. Phil.
Christian, over to you on the North Lawn.
It's just so stupid. Every election is an advance auction on stolen goods. Little HL making for you this morning. The big, beautiful bill passed the House by a razor-thin 215 to 214 vote. That was back in May, and it's now in the Senate, right? This is Trump's flagship domestic agenda. This is why they're very jumpy. I was getting messages from people in Washington, D.C. last night who were saying to me, Washington, they're freaking out tonight over Elon Musk. And you know what? I was like, good. Make politicians afraid again. When I lived in D.C., and then whenever there was an event that was kind of a world-shattering event, if it was almost never something good. It was almost always a world-shattering event, and the outcome that was inevitable was going to be bad for the country. But in this scenario, I wish I was in D.C. to some extent now, just because I would love to see the panic on the Congress members' faces because of Elon Musk talking about challenges, primary challenges, and him backing the outcasts in the GOP now the outcasts, truly the most important people during the pandemic, the biggest heroes, the two guys who have stood up for liberty. Can we give it up for Rand Paul and Thomas Massey? They're taking a lot of crap. Thank God we've got a few heroes in there, but I just love this whole concept that they're trying to cook up now that Elon Musk, well, if there were the electric vehicle tax credits, this is the line of attack that's coming out at Elon now. If there was a line, if they weren't removing the electric vehicle tax credits, then Elon Musk would be a different vote on the bill. Here, I actually saved that. Here it is. This is what you get when they send the attack dogs out. This is the kind of propaganda you'll hear.
Incredible that his best friend Elon Musk is trying so hard at the last minute to kill it. And I mean, I get the sense from people on Capitol Hill, Republicans on Capitol Hill, they respect Musk, they're happy for what he did, but they're irritated with him now, and he's not going to stop this.
They want to take his money for him to shut up.
So I think most Republicans on Capitol Hill are on this situation saying we have come too far to stop right now.
Steph, there are reports out there that perhaps Elon Musk is doing this because of those EV tax credits that are no longer in this bill. What are you hearing?
That's the attack.
That is certainly one of the issues that Musk.
It's incredible that his.
So the idea that the man, the wealthiest man in the world, is gonna deep six his reputation with Donald Trump, with Republicans, that he's gonna burn all these bridges because he doesn't get an electric vehicle tax credit. Now, need I remind the slow people out there in politics, not the ones who are listening to this show, but need I remind the royal slow people out there in politics that he owns more than one business, right? You know where he got his money? It wasn't from the electric vehicle company. That was a huge risk, a huge, gigantic risk that he took, ironically, to try and help clean up the planet. You think the left would love him. Of course, they hate him because he is smart enough to vote Republican in the last election. Like many of us libertarians who voted for Republicans in the previous election. And do we get any credit for it? No. Instead, we're the problem. Look, Thomas Massey here's his post, says it's insincere for Speaker Johnson to insinuate Elon Musk is against the big, beautiful bill because it doesn't benefit his companies specifically. Musk is a true America First entrepreneur. Amen. Who could have had a much more comfortable existence and a higher net worth by sitting on the sidelines of politics. Didn't they say that about Trump? But he cares about this country, so he got involved. Amen. He knows if America collapses financially, we aren't making it to Mars. He's right. When he helped cut government waste, he watched his dealerships get firebombed. He stood for free speech by sponsoring a social media platform. And in return, the Biden administration brought half a dozen bogus cases against him. He provided the rural broadband that politicians continually fail to provide with endless taxpayer boondoggles. He revolutionized automobiles after conventional car manufacturers got bailed out for their failures. And he gave our astronauts a way to the space station without hitching a ride on Russian rockets. For the sake of our country, I hope he will stay engaged in politics. If he doesn't, I don't blame him, but I'll be here in D.C. trying to keep politicians of both parties from stopping the amazing human progress that he and his engineers have enabled and will enable. And meanwhile, the Congress critters in D.C., they shriek. Shut up. Shut up and take your medicine and cut the spending. And I love this new line of attack that I'm hearing, too, from some of these MAGA types who are saying that we didn't vote for Donald Trump to cut spending. We voted for Donald Trump to cut immigration. No, bitches, that's why you're all obsessed. That's all you can think about or talk about is your neighbor next door and what language he may be speaking. And you cannot focus on the thing that's actually taking food out of your kids and your Talk about worrying about other people outside of your own culture. You can't even worry about the kitchen table issues that are putting food on your kids' plates. The big, beautiful bill. It's a big, stupid bill. This isn't about numbers. It's about whether Republicans will keep their promise to shrink government or just pile on more debt for our kids to pay. I'm going to break this down this morning. Let's see, it's 7:19. We got the King of all libertarians coming up in 20 minutes. Damn it, it's going to be an amazing show today. An incredible show, a really big show. Andy Opperman says, Milton had it right. We didn't get any Doge cuts. We got Doge transfers of spending. Show me a federal government that spends fewer effing dollars in 2025 than it did in 2024. Amen. Who's with Andy? Hearts and likes. Hearts in the chat. And let's see, 7:20. We've got 5 more minutes until we get the King of all libertarians. Yes, so I thought I had. Elon has been Milton posting. I'll just go pull over the clip right now. Let's see. Money Doge has saved the government. Trump's big, beautiful bill. And Elon retweeted it. So he's on the warpath, which you love to see. Camellia is going to comment on it. Interest payments already consume 25% of all government revenue. If the massive spending continues, there will only be money for interest payments and nothing else, says Elon. No Social Security, no medical, no defense, no nothing. What are your thoughts on this? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. The text lines are open at 573-319-1586. We'd love to hear from you. You can text us anytime at that number. And the number is open to text us for any reason. And you can text us on the weekends if you like. That text line is your direct line to the For Liberty Network. We'd love to hear what's going on in your head. If you have a question about a product or you want to track a product that's you've ordered on the For Liberty shop, that's a great way to contact us as well. It's just all access line, text messages, 573-319-1586. It's nice to see Dad Bod Baboon, Drew Van Runkle, Quest Fanning, Joni Rankin, NJM77, Hammerlager. Haven't seen you in a while, bud. Hope you're good. Andy Opperman and so many others hanging out in the chat. Stephanie for Liberty, my smoking hot redheaded Liberty wife, is in the chat as well. Everybody say hello. Elon Musk vociferously, love that word, decrying the Trump-backed One Big Beautiful Bill Act that cleared the House last month. Elon is going ham, agreeing with Thomas Massey, saying the big beautiful bill is a debt bomb ticking. It's also the biggest missed opportunity conservatives have ever had to put our country back on a track of fiscal sanity. If we defeat this bill, a better one can be offered that won't bankrupt our country, Massey declared. This is it. This is it. When are we going to get a better chance? Oh, later. We're going to spend it later. When? We were told that we were going to do it when we won the White House. Right? You got the majority. You know what? You can't cut a single penny, not a single red cent. Justin Amash weighing in from the top rope says there is one good way to cut spending and reconciliation at 50 votes, which means the ability to pass very large spending cuts, the freedom to enact substantial mandatory spending reforms, and the largest, most robust tax cuts possible, thanks to the other changes. Easy choice. Stephen Miller has become the White House attack dog, attacking libertarians who he says are the real problem. It's those dang libertarians again, like so.
Our friend Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator Paul, as always, good to see you.
Rand Paul, no, he's the problem. It's him. People who are trying to fix it. He's the one who's standing in the way.
Thank you. So President Trump has a disagreement with you, or you with him. He says you're always voting no. You deny that. I know you endorse Mr. Trump, even though it was after the election. But are you always voting no? Are you Dr. No?
Well, I do recall voting no on 2 of his impeachments, and I think he was okay with those no's.
Yes.
I do recall voting yes on his cabinet. I do recall guiding through Christine Nome through my committee to be appointed in very quick fashion. So I think I've been quite supportive of the president, but I think in some ways we're talking past each other. So for example, I support the tax cuts. I don't think the CBO is right. I think and agree with Art Laffer that you can reduce rates and get more revenue. I think that's what happened in 2017. I think the tax cuts have largely paid for themselves. I think renewing tax cuts that already exist, it's ridiculous to say that somehow that is going to cause a new deficit when they're just simply keeping the same policy. The disagreement I have is not over that. I don't agree with the CBO at all on all that nonsense on the taxes. I think spending cuts could be more, but even that, I'm willing to take an imperfect bill that doesn't cut spending. What bothers me and what indicates that the deficits will roll on no matter what your fancy calculations have done for us, Larry, they want to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. This year, it will be $2.2 trillion, and that was voted on by mostly Republicans, not this Republican, but most Republicans in March voted to continue the Biden spending levels. So when we get to the end of the year, $2.2 trillion, but they want to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. So they're anticipating at least that much or more. I hope you're right. I hope the deficits go down, but why are they wanting to borrow $5 trillion if they really believe the deficit is going to go down?
Damn, man, it's nice to have Rand. Thank God, bro. We would be in so much shit. We would be in a world of shit if we didn't have Rand Paul in the Senate. We would be in a world of shit if Thomas Massey was not in the Senate. If we didn't have, we've got 2 good libertarians in Congress, and we need to get 4 more, and we need to have Elon Musk fund their campaigns next year. What do you say, guys? I voted for Elon Musk. As a matter of fact, we have a t-shirt, and BB for Liberty bought one this morning. Why don't you guys get yourselves an I voted for Elon Musk t-shirt? Everybody's saying, I didn't vote for Elon Musk. Well, I didn't vote for Stephen Miller. They're like, I voted for immigration. Well, I voted to cut the federal debt. How's that? I will breathe of my own accord. Let us see who is the strongest. I love this AI image that Brad made for this. With Joe Biden eating ice cream and no idea the shirt he's wearing. I voted for Elon Musk. Come on. Get it, guys. Come on. You know you want to get it. You know you want to buy the shirt. Come on, guys. Please. Come on, guys. Please buy the shirt. Go to forlibertyshop.com, guys. Check it out this morning. I voted for Elon Musk's shirt. Wear it loud, wear it proud, wear it with the MAGA hat so that it's more fun and more funny and everybody will And if you're at the Smithsonian Museum, they might take your American flag away. If you're not into that kind of controversy, then you can just dip your toes into the luscious ladies of Gulf of America. forlibertyshop.com has got the best Gulf of America merch in the country. It must be in the whole world because honest to God, we sell so much Gulf of America stuff compared to everything else. Gulf of America merchandise is so hot right now. So if you've got some this summer, the first summer that is the Gulf, that we get to enjoy the beautiful Gulf of America, you're going to be ahead of the curve and everybody's going to be playing catch up with you next year. But you got to go to forlibertyshop.com. I recommend the beach towel. Ladies, we got bikinis. Come on, guys. If you're feeling a little thirsty, grab the Gulf of America shark tumbler like our illustrious Vice President J.D. Vance. And we will see you guys on the other side of the break. Guys, we got to run because we got the king of all libertarians. We don't want to make him wait. He's going to talk to us about the MAGA Civil War. We've only got to raise 25 more bucks. So if you buy one of those shirts or towels, that'll unlock the bonus content. You can watch that instead of commercials. But for now, commercials it is until we unlock the bonus content. We'll be right back with the king of all libertarians.
The Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty. They forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a redcoat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Gin to a sunfish versus tequila, which would make the sunfish more aggressive? Nearly $1 million spent studying whether or not Japanese quail, if you give them cocaine, whether or not they're more sexually promiscuous. Was it one small step for man, or was it one small step for a man? And in the end, $750,000 later, they couldn't decide. Was it one step for man, one step for a man? $2 million for the construction of a kelp and shellfish nursery in Maine. $1.5 million to encourage video gaming in New York. We might be better off spending $1.5 million to discourage kids from playing video games. $388,000 for Columbia University. Be giving a rich university that has $13 billion any money. $249,000 for the Baltimore Symphony. Give money to all the symphonies and we'd make them part of government.
Oh, God, no. What do you think they would play? It would only be one song that the symphonies would play, and it would be the Soviet national anthem. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. I don't know about that. Would you eat cocaine-laced quail? I think our next guest might. He's the king of all libertarians. He's joining us live right now. Wise king of all libertarians. We are so glad and grateful to have you here today. Thank you for joining us, co-host of Liberty Tonight. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Duke Austin. Good morning to all the peasants out there groveling away in your mud pits and your stank factories. I'm glad you are tuning in to us, your sovereigns.
And we're glad to have you here, my lord, because there is trouble in the kingdom. A civil war rageth between the MAGA forces. Elon Musk has been coming out in support of our boys, Thomas Massie and Senator Rand Paul. And for that, we give him great thanks. However, the Red Hat MAGAs are angry at the Dark Hat MAGAs. Which MAGAs should we support? Break us down, Your Majesty, with thy divine thoughts.
Yes. Elon, I think, is becoming a real libertarian. It's called principles. We're definitely we're the real dark MAGA, right? This is the age old issue that's been in the Republican Party since the Bush era, right? You had the Freedom Caucus Republicans, and then you had just everybody else who was a rhino or a neocon. So to put things into perspective for everybody, we have come a long way. The neocons are dead, and now it's becoming what a lot of people have said. It's libertarian right, and then there's right, and that will be the new Republican Party moving forward. So I think it's actually a good sign that this is happening, that the neocons have been ousted, and now it's the remaining rhinos, MAGA, and then MAGA libertarians.
Yes. Rvolt24 in the chat says, I'm not familiar with King Libertarian. That seems contradictory. Maybe that's the joke. Maybe. Just maybe.
No. I am a hardcore authoritarian libertarian. You will bow to me voluntarily or else.
Thank you to the king of all libertarians for his gracious presence on our Wake Up America show this morning. You have your own show, Liberty Tonight, that you co-host with Brian Piotr, and that it will be tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you're following their Rumble channel at rumble.com/Liberty Tonight. Gaffes, gags, and all kinds of buffoonery will happen tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time to 11 p.m. So make sure you guys are setting your calendar. Get an alert tonight to come back and watch rumble.com/Liberty Tonight. So that's Elon Musk, there's a lot of people on both sides of this, but the attack that they're making against Elon Musk now is that he wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for the fact that the electric vehicle tax credits are not being renewed in this one. Do you believe, is Elon just doing this for filthy money? Is he just a disgusting capitalist?
Probably, but he's been against that electric tax credit for a long time, right? This is not just because of this big beautiful bill. He has said that's not appropriate for a long time, and I think too, it wasn't necessarily a straight line, but now it's coming to the fact that he realizes that that's part of the government incentivization. Like that's government getting involved in the free market, creating an artificial incentive for people to move to EVs quicker than maybe they naturally would. Does he realize that from a Milton Friedman, perspective? Maybe he does now, because he's been sharing a lot of it, including mine a couple months ago. The printing press and all that or the story of the pencil that as Milton retells. But no, I mean, Elon is acting like a husband left at the altar, and the runaway bride is going away with the big beautiful bill.
I love that Trump is the bride in this situation. And
yes, Trump has been stolen away by the BBB, away from Elon. No, and this is great too, because, like you said in the intro, he helped to get Trump elected. He's been through an election cycle. He understands where to put money and where it's effective. You back some more libertarian candidates in the GOP in the primaries. I mean, just a couple $100,000 or even a couple $10,000 on certain primaries, just you really start to tip those scales pretty good. So
I think the guy's wealth is
how
like
scorned this woman is.
Yeah, I think exactly. I think that, well, here's the thing, Elon younger than the president. I think people aren't sort of ready for a post-MAGA GOP. But I mean, I've said from the beginning, I don't think that there is any heir apparent to the Donald Trump crown. Nobody can copy what Donald Trump is, what he has, how his comedic energy, his air. There is no one like him. And in many ways, that's his strength. And in other ways, in terms of passing things down, it's also a weakness. I kind of compared him to, I've been listening to a lot of Dan Carlin hardcore history podcasts. So I was listening to the one about Alexander the Great and what happened when he died. The kid, he had unified all of the civilized world at the time, and conquered it all and brought it to heel, sort of like how Trump did. But then, because Alexander refused to name a successor, it all went to his generals, and then the empire fell apart right after. I mean, this coalition has the chance of doing the same thing. But I mean, the coalition that came together to build Trump's victory, they're all attacking these libertarians. These were very different kinds of constituencies, right? I mean, you had the Kennedy MAGA coalition. They're kind of like more standard, traditional kind of conspiracy Democrats, or old Bill Clinton style Democrats, or John F. Kennedy style Democrats, like not woke, but still sort of left politically, of which Trump sort of like came from in the old days. But then you had like the standard traditional radical libertarians like us, who decided to vote for Donald Trump instead of the Libertarian Party in this election. And these coalitions are not like each other, right? It doesn't mean that we don't like each other, but it'll be hard to kind of keep, you talk about herding cats. This is an even bigger version of the internal struggles of libertarianism, is it not?
Look, people are dumb. We're smart because we're dumb, because our brains create shortcuts that let us navigate society. So the cult of personality will never go away. It is a shortcut to an idea in your brain that you feel you're biased towards. So yes, like when Kennedy betrayed Maha and everyone freaked out, I'm not Maha anymore, and that kind of like
That's
dissipated
cultish.
or whatever is going on there. Once Trump moves on, it's going to be very difficult to hang on to the MAGA that we have today. He is it, and it is him. It's going to be interesting to see once this administration's over. Once his third term is over in another 4 years, and then we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, JD Vance. I mean, even his sons, they're not super political. They've never even been in official positions. We'll see what happens. But I do think it's good overall for sure.
Yeah, and it also shows how different we are from the Democrats, because with the Democrats there would be no resistance. They've covered for a nearly dead man, a cadaverish President Joe Biden for years, pretending as if everything was just fine and nobody got out of line. But on the right, we actually have people with varying sets of opinions, and we come together on the things that we agree on, and we fight over the things that we disagree on. That's a strength, but again, it can also be a weakness. My concern with this is, and I wonder what your Grace thinks, is that the failure to follow through on the DOGE cuts, the failure to follow through on some of the fiscal responsibility issues, might lead to economic chaos, which would lead to President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to suss out the mess. Is that something you're concerned about?
I think that the Democrat Party is in such shambles that, to have them as a fallback for the average American is going to be a stretch.
Don't sell the American people short. You're the one who just said that they're dumb.
Stay away from those. Reject the big socialist titties. They're not going to lead you to a utopia.
No, they will, though. They'll follow them off a cliff.
No, that is something that we have to look at. The injured fowl that is the Democrat Party is licking its wounds inside of its nasty snot-filled cave, and it could come out looking like something that is an actual opposition to them, but it is an issue, right? It's been the can kicked down the road for a very long time, and I understand from procedural perspective that maybe this particular bill isn't where the DOGE tax cuts get codified and all this kind of. That's all nerdy, geeky stuff that I don't want to get involved in. But yeah, if there isn't something very soon done about the deficit, then I think you're right. It's a big open wound that could be exploited.
Your Majesty, where can people follow you and your co-host Brian Piotr? Both have been retweeted by the Lord Elon Musk. Congratulations, Brian Piotr and the King of all Libertarians. Your show is on rumble.com/liberty tonight. Any sneak previews or hints of what you might be discussing or doing tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Every night we play some fun games and go over headlines. So we have segments like America the Beautiful, where we showcase what it means to be an American and what it looks like to just have pure Americana. Monster trucks and obese people fighting. It's great. And we have King Libertarian's Truth or Tale, where I have 4 headlines and I have our guests and our folks in the chat guess whether this is a true headline or one that I made up, and our top 10 reasons for this, top 10 reasons for that. I don't know. We got to see what our top 10 list is going to be for tonight, but it's always a good time. It's nothing like you ever see here on the Libertarian podcast ecosystem. We have a lot of fun, and you should come on over. Liberty Tonight.
That's right.
Rumble.com/Liberty tonight at 9 Central.
Thank you, old wise King of all Libertarians. We appreciate your wise contributions, and we shall see you tonight at rumble.com/Liberty tonight. Have a wonderful day.
Elon Musk Musk just said we need a brand new bill that doesn't grow the deficit. He was actually quote tweeting a video of you from the press conference this morning saying you tried to reach him last night. Do you have any response? He says we need a brand new bill that doesn't grow the deficit.
Elon, look, we don't have time for a brand new bill. And I want Elon and all my friends to recognize the complexity of what we've accomplished here. This extraordinary piece of legislation, a record number of savings, record tax cuts for the American people, and all the other benefits in it. We worked on the bill for almost 14 months. You can't go back to the drawing board, and we shouldn't. We have a great product to deliver here. So I know it's not perfect by some people's estimations, but you cannot make a perfect the enemy of the very, very, very good. We're proud of this product. The House Republicans are proud of it, and we're happy to go out and explain that to everybody. So I'll continue to try to reach Elon and tell him, extol the merits of our work here. I hope he'll understand. Thank you.
What is the big, beautiful bill? Okay, this is H.R. 1. This is a massive reconciliation bill. This is not an annual budget. It's focused on mandatory spending, things like Medicaid and SNAP. The key components are that it extends the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanently, adds no taxes on tips, great, and overtime tax breaks, good. We love to hear that. Also, not mentioned in my in my summary here, but wish that I had, but knew it anyway, is that there's a possibility that we might be getting suppressors for our firearms back without having to go through the NFA. Now, if you want to put a suppressor on the end of your AR-15 or what have you, then you've got to pay a $200 tax stamp, and you have to wait like a year before you hear back from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms before they grant you the permit for you to be able to have a suppressor. And here's the thing. If you have more than one rifle and you want to have more than one suppressor, you have to go through the permitting process for it, and it's a $200 tax stamp. But it's not the $200. I'm sure people would pay another $1,000 to just be able to get it right away because the bureaucracy prevents you from getting it. So basically, a right delayed, as Martin Luther King Jr. might say, a right delayed is a right denied. It's my right to be able to put an oil can on the end of my AR-15, damn it. I want to do a 300 blackout build. So if it passes, is it the end of the world? No. Are there some good things that are going to happen? Yes. Are there a lot of bad things that are going to happen? Absolutely. Are these the trade-offs of life? Yes. Should we be asking for more because we want more and we want more freedom? Yes. Should we say, no, we'll never under any circumstances? No, we can make compromises. And Rand Paul, what kind of setting am I sitting on there with no king of libertarians sitting there? Now we go back to the regular scene. No, we can't make the perfect the enemy the good, and I don't think that anybody is here. Here's Ben Shapiro with his fair and balanced take on the subject.
Let me switch to another war that's going on. Elon Musk just came out earlier today and said he wants everybody to call Congress and reject this big, beautiful bill. There's a lot of good things in the big, beautiful bill, a lot of bad things in the big, beautiful bill. What's your take on this, on Elon Musk and how this bill is being put together?
So, I think that we have to kind of discuss it in two separate forms. One is sort of the ideological and one is the pragmatic. On an ideological level, obviously, Elon is right. When it comes to solving America's debt crisis, this bill doesn't do nearly enough to solve America's debt crisis.
Yeah.
And right. I mean, it makes like very minor changes for work requirements on Medicaid from my perspective. You can call those big cuts to future spending, fine, but it doesn't really shape the cost curve in a serious way that would get the American national debt down. And of course, by maintaining the tax rates where they are, presumably that leads to, in the best case, not much loss of revenue because of increased economic dynamism. In the worst case, some actual loss of government revenue, which is to say tax money. The bill itself is not designed to lower spending. It's not designed to do that in any real way. So on an ideological level, listen, on ideological, I'm a Tea Partier. On an ideological level, going all the way back to 2005, I'm in favor of privatizing Social Security.
Yeah.
But on an ideological level, the American people disagree with me. And President Trump actively campaigned in 2016, 2020, and 2024 on not touching Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security in any serious way. And so that being the case, the idea that we were even going to return to 2019 levels of spending with a majority in the House of 2 votes and a majority in the Senate of 3 seems to me fantastical. So the question that you have now on a pragmatic level, and this is where President Trump is right, on a pragmatic level, here are your actual choices. Either taxes remain the same and the spending curve continues to go up, but at a slightly lower rate, or the taxes increase and the spending continues to increase at a slightly lower rate or a slightly higher rate. No one in this country takes seriously the debt problem. And I get where Elon is coming from. I do. I welcome him to the party, pal. Like I've been here for my entire, you have too, Glenn. I mean, we've all been here for decades talking about this stuff.
A reasonable opinion, I would say. We need to have more Ben Shapiro on the show. What do you guys think? Or maybe just stick with Milton Friedman?
The real tax on the American people is what government spends. If the federal government spends $450 billion and only raises $400 billion in taxes, who do you suppose who pays that other $50 billion? Do you suppose the tooth fairy does? Inflation is, from this point of view, a form of taxation. If government spends more than it takes in, it has to meet the difference, either by printing money or by borrowing from the public at large.
There it is. That's all it is. You're either going to borrow or they're going to print money. And that's a tax increase. Inflation is a tax increase. If you don't have enough money to pay for all the spending, you're either going to have to borrow the money or you're going to have to inflate the currency. And you know what the politicians all prefer. Inflate, inflate, inflate. Destroy the value of our currency. And, of course, continue our children on down the road to serfdom. CBO estimates that it adds $2.4 trillion to the deficit between 2025 and 2034, with tax cuts alone costing $3.75 trillion, they say. Supporters say it's a bold America First reform. Critics like Musk, Massey, and Paul warn it's a fiscal disaster that grows debt while cutting aid to the vulnerable. So this bill, it's kind of like a buffet. You get some tasty tax cuts, but it's piled high with debt and sneaky provisions and vegetables that'll make your wallet cry. Musk, Massey, and Paul are saying, put the fork down. I'm going to stand with Rand on this. But Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, here's the pro-bill case, right? We'll set this up. Stephen Miller's core claims are that the bill saves $1.6 trillion in mandatory spending, including the largest welfare reform ever. He says it reduces the deficit and that tax cuts are neutral. He says extending the 2017 tax cuts doesn't add to the deficit. It's just keeping current rates. He says that the CBO's math, Congressional Budget Office's math, is a gimmick. He says that the tariff revenue fixes it. He says Trump's 10% global tariff will generate $2.3 to $3.3 trillion over 10 years, offsetting any debt. He says the CBO is ignoring that. And that this isn't a budget bill. It's the biggest tax cut, welfare reform, energy expansion, and border security package in history. So this is the spin. He said Trump says it's the most significant legislation ever, arguably. Says it delivers on campaign promises, no tax on tips, border walls, and fuels economic growth. House Speaker Mike Johnson says it's a historic step to address the debt and the deficit. Says that groups like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the American Farm Bureau praise tax cuts and farm provisions. Let me tell you something. When the U.S. Chamber of Commerce or the American Farm Bureau is on something, you know it's going to suck. You know it's going to be a big government cash grab. You know that it's not. I can't remember the last time that I saw the U.S. Chamber of Commerce on the side of a bill that actually was a good thing for the American people. It's sad, but you know what? This is just the world that we live in. You would think Chamber of Commerce. No, they represent the interest of a very small group of people, and their interest is not in protecting the U.S. taxpayer whatsoever. So here's the refutation. $1.6 trillion in spending cuts reduces the deficit. That's the claim from the White House. But here's the thing. The $1.6 trillion in cuts, mostly Medicaid and SNAP, is dwarfed by the $3.75 trillion in tax cuts. The CBO says that the net effect is a $2.4 trillion increase to the deficit. So the CRFB and Penn Wharton, they confirm that $3.1 to $3.2 trillion dollar deficit hikes, even with the cuts, you can't call it deficit reduction when you're adding trillions to the debt. So Miller's math is like saying you saved money at a buffet by skipping the salad, but grabbing 3 plates of dessert. Right? So here's the next claim, that extending tax cuts doesn't add to the deficit. It's just keeping current rates. The CBO scores extending the 2017 tax cuts that we all loved as a $3.8 trillion deficit hit because the baseline assumes expiration. Keeping rates isn't free. It's a choice to forego revenue. Here's the fact. The bill's tax cuts disproportionately benefit the top 10% while cutting resources for the bottom 10%. So saying tax cuts don't add to the deficit is like saying skipping your car payment doesn't make you broke, right? You still got the car payment. You still have to pay the debt. Just because you didn't pay it, you still have to pay it. It's still there. It's still a bill. You still have to pay for it. You spent the money. Here's the next claim. The tariffs will generate $2.3 trillion to $3.3 trillion to offset the debt. The CBO doesn't score tariffs because the revenue that you get from tariffs is uncertain. It depends on consumer behavior. What if the economy isn't good? People aren't spending a lot of money. Moody's just downgraded U.S. credit to AA1, and that's because of the tariffs. Tariffs could raise costs for consumers, and then what's the problem? You disrupt supply chains, right? In like Musk's Tesla, for example, right? There's no guarantee that the tariffs will deliver on the promised revenue, right? Betting on tariffs to save the day is like expecting a lemonade stand to pay off your mortgage. Good luck. It's probably not going to work. The claim, this is a historic reform. This is not a budget bill. It's historic, all right. Yeah, in terms of debt. This bill includes sneaky provisions that violate reconciliation rules. The Senate's Byrd rule may strip non-budget items, and even GOP senators, of course, like Ron Johnson and others, are saying that this shouldn't go through. Calling this reform is like a junkyard car, is like calling a junkyard car a Rolls Royce. It's got shiny parts, but they're still a wreck. Miller's spinning faster than his fidget spinner, but the numbers don't lie. Musk, Massey, and Paul are calling out the smoke and mirrors. Yes, they are. Let's give them a standing ovation. Musk, Massey, Paul. It's the Wake Up America Show. We'll be right back to see what Camellia thinks about this. Are you thirsty, boys? How about them egg rolls, Mr. Goldstone? It's a Thirsty Thursday with Camellia, then Daniela on the Wake Up America shows for Liberty Network. Bonus content unlocked.
Trump's building a statue garden. Not a wall, not a road, not a power plant, not even a decent bridge in Baltimore. A $34 million statue garden. Because nothing screams America first like outsourcing our founding fathers' faces to sculptors in China. That's right. We're making a patriotic monument the same way we make iPhones, dog toys, and my shoes at 4libertyshop.com. Apparently, Trump slashed over 1,000 wasteful grants from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Arts, which were funding things like local history museums, veteran oral histories, and small-town cultural programs. You know, frivolous garbage like preserving actual American stories. Instead, he's rerouting those funds into a 52-acre red, white, and bureaucratic blue marble theme park. The kind of place where kids can ask, "Mommy, who's that statue?" And Mom replies, "Oh, honey, that's Davy Crockett. He died defending the Alamo. Now he lives next to Elvis and Whitney Houston." Seriously, Whitney Houston is in the garden. So is Kobe Bryant and Johnny Cash. Because apparently the line between Mount Rushmore and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has finally dissolved like the US dollar after QE8. But hey, it's not all pop culture. You'll also find statues of Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, some true American legends. And I mean that. But here's the problem. Why is the government doing this at all? Answer: because it's great PR. Because politicians love shiny things. Because building statues of heroes costs less political capital than actually being heroic. And this isn't just a Trump thing. This is a government thing. This is the same logic that gave us the Bridge to Nowhere, Solyndra, the TSA's $1.4 million uniform redesign, and Amtrak serving pre-pandemic food with post-apocalyptic prices. Government spending is not a moral compass. It's a drunk guy with a credit card at a casino buffet, stacking crab legs and calling it infrastructure. And now here we are, building the American Garden of Heroes, where the real heroes are the lobbyists who convinced everyone this would be a good idea. Let's talk about logistics. There aren't even enough American foundries available to sculpt all these statues. We've got a deadline to finish this thing by 2026, and domestic artists are booked for years. So guess where the government might send the order? Yep, back to China. Because why not have Thomas Jefferson's face carved by a guy named Wei from Shenzhen? I mean, we've outsourced nearly every other form of labor. Might as well outsource the revolution too. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for free trade, but this is too ironic not to call out. This is the same federal machine that spent $98,000 on an outhouse in Alaska and now wants you to believe that this $34 million patriotic garden is money well spent, after pulling funds from the very arts and humanities programs that actually teach kids who these people were. We've replaced education with aesthetics, history with landscaping. And the worst part? There are already dozens of statue gardens across America, funded by private citizens, local governments, even the freaking Boy Scouts. But that's not enough for DC. No, they needed a federal statue garden, because if the state doesn't do it, how will we even know it happened? This is the government's favorite game. Take your money, blow it on something flashy, slap a flag on it, and call you unpatriotic if you complain. Now, to be clear, I don't hate monuments. I love history. I love honoring greatness, but I also believe in voluntary contributions, private enterprise, and not throwing your tax dollars into a marble-scented money pit. If Trump had launched a Kickstarter, I'd have clapped. If wealthy donors stepped up to build it with their own cash, awesome. But yanking money from thousands of community programs to pour concrete around a statue of Ronald Reagan riding a horse? That's not leadership. That's cosplay. Here's a radical idea. Maybe the greatest monument to American heroes isn't bronze or granite. Maybe it's a free citizenry, trained and informed. Maybe it's not built with federal contracts and bulldozers, but with schools that teach truth, parents who teach values, and individuals with the courage to think for themselves. But that takes time. That takes work. So instead, we get bronze sculptures and buzzwords. And if you dare raise a question about it, you're the bad guy. You're anti-American, you hate heroes, you want to cancel George Washington. No, pal. I just don't think a statue of Washington should cost more than he made in his entire lifetime. So while the bureaucrats play SimCity with your tax dollars, the rest of us are out here grinding, trying to afford gas, groceries, and a government that actually works. And if you're one of the millions of Americans who still believe that liberty matters more than landscaping, you're not alone. Head to forlibertyshop.com. Grab a shirt, grab a coffee, grab something made by actual free people who still think this country is worth saving. From marble gardens, tax madness, and patriotic performance art. Because real liberty isn't sculpted, it's lived. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
My issue is why wasn't he talking about this before the bill, right? Because those of us that were actually trying to make cuts, we could have used his support, and that actually might have helped us out quite a bit. And that's what frustrates me. Hey, if you're going to be in this fight when we need you, because we needed him.
Republican Senator. Elon Musk just wasn't in the fight, I guess. That was Representative Eli Crane of Arizona. Where was Elon Musk when we needed him? I guess he was just too busy trying to cut government under Doge to spend time telling Eli Crane how to do his job? I don't know. Joining us now live to discuss is the ultimate cynic of government. Camelia Peterson, she's joining us live this morning. Thursday has begun. Hey, CJ.
Is it possible to be both a cynic and an optimist at the same time?
Yes,
because I feel like that's the way I am, like, all the time.
Well, Camelia, you are literally and metaphorically a cockeyed optimist.
Indeed.
Come on!
Like, it's been a while since we've made one of those jokes, and everybody else out there is probably going like, what the heck are they talking about?
They have no idea. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peters. Camelia Peterson joining us live here to talk about the big stupid bill. Camelia, Elon going rogue. He's the problem. You know what they're saying? The attack now is that it's the electric vehicle tax credits. That's why Elon is doing this. He doesn't get his tax credits because, you all know the world's richest man, the number one concern is another tax credit for him. Your thoughts?
Oh, Eli. Such a beta move, like to go on the air and whine about how the richest, most powerful man in the world, just didn't support you enough. It's not like he won the election for you guys or anything like that. But, that little thing. But, if only he had done more for you instead of you just doing your own job. Okay.
Elon Musk is compromised, apparently, they say, because it's the libertarians in Congress who are the problem. Stephen Miller's got the word. Now the attack is out. It's kill all libertarians. I've noticed that he's using at least the terminology properly, small L libertarians, not big L libertarians. But now he's even saying that Rand Paul is trying to be like Chase Oliver, the presidential candidate for more. This is what he's insinuating with these tweets. What's going on?
Has Stephen Miller ever not been terrible? Like, I'm just not sure if I remember a time when he hasn't been, honestly, but,
They think it's all about immigration. It's like, what's his name? Cernovich or somebody who's out there.
Yes.
He's saying that we didn't vote for Donald Trump for spending cuts. I mean, this is like Orwellian doublespeak to the max. We voted for immigration. And it's like, bitch, you voted for him for that. I voted for Doge.
Yeah, and if you had talked to, like, if Cernovich was actually in touch with the people, like the actual literal, people on, in everyday America, small town America, he would know that the number one issue for people was the economy, stupid. Like, it's always been the economy. Now, was immigration a close second? Sure, but always, without fail, the number one was always the economy.
Thank you. Yes, that is why people switched over, because Joe Biden was flubbing it. He was, we didn't think he was in charge. But people also, I think the MAGA people, now that they're on the attack against Elon, the gloves are off. We can say something here. They always overestimated Donald Trump's relative popularity. He ran against Hillary Clinton. He then lost to Joe Biden. I know that they don't believe that. That's the line was taken from them. But he lost to Joe Biden. And then he only won because Elon Musk and the libertarians and the MAGA coalition came on board to bolster the support there at the very end. But they seem to think that they should be in charge of everything and everyone, and that they're the only ones who gets. Lindsey Graham gets everything, Rand Paul gets nothing. But I'm sorry, but
that's really upside down, right?
Yeah, fuck you.
What? So speaking of the election issue, like a little bit of a side, did you see that Mike Lindell is going through his lawsuit right now, his defamation lawsuit? And so it is not going well so far, apparently, because his attorneys have they're not offering like any evidence at all as a rebuttal to the defamation. So they're basically saying like he never had any proof at all, apparently, that they're going to offer. It's the craziest thing.
Of course not. They never did. They never did. Even remember Dinesh D'Souza's documentary, and then it all came out. It was bullshit. It was all debunked. And they're But here's the thing. You know what the low IQ people were saying? Oh, you're with the Democrats. You're a Democrat now. It's like we have to listen to all these.
Wait. Demon-crat.
Demon-crat. The Demon-crat.
Here's the thing, though. Like, there's no room for nuance, right? I mean, there were problems with the elections. Yeah, I don't think that anybody would say that, post or during COVID, like some of these states made allowances for election practices that were highly questionable and not good. But did that, those are not necessarily the things they were talking about. It was a grand fraud conspiracy.
Exactly. We were going to go after the deep state. We were going to pay off the debt. That was another thing. I loved hearing people say that we didn't vote to cut spending. And then I found that video immediately of Donald Trump saying we're going to pay down the debt right now. So why do the promises to us, the ones that get on the back burner, but for the immigration restrictionists, they get everything? And the spending cuts, we can't get anything. We can't get, and here's the thing. They say that Rand Paul and Thomas Massey are not offering any kind of compromise. They absolutely are offering compromises. Yes. They have both said that they would vote for the bill if it puts us on the fast path towards fiscal sanity. Go.
That's right. No, that's 100% right. And the thing is can Congress not walk and chew gum? Do we have to only do one thing or the other, just immigration or just the economy? Both things need to be addressed. And I totally understand the argument that, this is something that has built up over time and you're not going to unring the bell in one day or in one bill. But you also have to look and say, are the trade-offs in here? You always it's never fully black and white, right? You're never going to get everything that you want. There's always going to be a trade-off. And so the question is always, is the trade-off worth it? And we've been even mainstream MAGA has been talking about the national debt being an enormous problem for a long time now. And if it's as big a deal as they've been saying it is, why are all of a sudden we not concerned about it? So I thought maybe this wasn't real, but you saw Trump's tweet on Truth Social about getting rid of the debt limit altogether.
Him and Elizabeth Warren. Remember 3 years ago when I tweeted that national conservatism or populism is just Elizabeth Warren but goes to church on Sunday, and I was saying that they're all just Elizabeth Warren. Turns out I was right, wasn't I?
I looked at that and I thought, that's wild. And somebody tell me this is fake. This has got to be fake. But I double checked it this morning. It's real. It's mind boggling. The things that we've compromised on the right. And so, this thing, I also understand, I heard you talking about the argument with the CBO and calculating the deficit as far as extending the tax cuts. That's been something I've been hollering about for months and months now, is because it made no sense to me that, you would just extend something you've already been doing for several years and call it increasing the debt. So I do think that there's something wrong there. But, Thomas Massey tweeted this morning and he made a really good point. He was like, if Speaker Johnson has an issue with what the CBO is doing, they have the authority to fire the director. Maybe you should take care of the problem.
They would never. They're lies because they're lying. Because they're lying because they don't really believe what they're saying. They're programmed. They're NPCs. And, I don't understand the logic of not pushing back on this. What would be the downsides when the cost of letting it pass is so high, right? Some people say, we should take what we have, but they never say why we shouldn't push for more when this is, I think, our best and maybe our only chance to actually do this. This was what the mandate was for, was it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, it took, we finally got a rescission bill that actually starts to address codifying some of the DOJ stuff. But the problem is even that, took way too long to get any action on. And it was really only until Elon started saying something about it that all of a sudden, oh, hey, we're doing this. Okay, maybe they've had it in the works longer, but if they were not talking about it before now, this is terrible, narrative and messaging on it. So we've talked about this before, there's been, it feels like so much negative coming out that they have really needed to be pushing something positive, and it's just not happened. It just feels like the house is always on fire and there's always just chaos. And that's the chaos of it is, even with, if there are good things that are happening in there, the chaos of it with all the negative too is what's going to hurt us in 2026. And here's the thing, they cannot blame mainstream media for this anymore, because mainstream media has been minimized. alternative media sources, you are the media, right? They have been elevated. They're in the White House press corps. Like, you cannot blame the mainstream media for the negativity in messaging because they just don't have the influence that they did before. So I love the Elon that we're seeing now. I'm really glad to have the Elon back that's posting Milton Friedman videos and Go Remy videos and talking about like the actual principles of things.
Well, there's all this talk about, who's being controlled. You couldn't control Donald Trump because he's rich and nobody can tell him what to do and all this kind of stuff. But it now looks like there really is only one true independent out there who can do what he wants and say what he wants. It's funny, like some of the Elon haters out there are saying things like, "Oh, he's a liberal and he supports a mandatory income or a carbon tax credit or some kind of thing." Like, bitch, if at this point I don't care about libertarian purity for lots of things, then why do you think you think I would care about something like he supports a carbon tax credit at this point now? What we need are people who are willing to take the risks that Elon Musk will take, like he took for us when it came to X, like he took for us when he supported Donald Trump in the first place, that he took like for the space station when NASA couldn't bring the astronauts home. Who was it that rode in like the White Knight to save the day? It was Elon. His dealerships were firebombed. The Biden administration, all these bogus cases about it. If Biden was in office right now, Elon would already be in jail, and so would Trump, but Elon would be too. So I don't buy this whole bullshit of this like unpatriotic Elon behavior and all this kind of stuff. But we really all need, I say, give thanks to Camelia's original crush, Elon Musk, right?
Yeah, he annoyed me there for a short period of time, but it seems like he kind of sort of got back on track.
You just didn't like his relationship drama.
I did not. No baby mama drama.
You don't like the baby mama drama, but you like it. You like it when he's Milton Friedman posting. I see how it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I do like the nerd Elon side of things. So, and here's the thing, there's when you talk about technological advancement in the country and this issue with them firing or not confirming whatever the guy is as the NASA director. Can you our NASA program has been a flop. For a long time now.
Yeah.
And so can you imagine how much more we could accomplish if we are going to continue to have a NASA program how much more could we accomplish if they were working in collaboration with Elon Musk and that was somebody that
remember we're getting rid of DEI and we're hiring based on merit, but here's the thing, they didn't hire this NASA director because he was Elon Musk's recommendation because in the people within the Trump cabinet and the administration who are angry at Elon Musk don't like the Doge cuts, don't like what his disruptions to the deep state. They attacked Elon by proxy by not giving the best man for the job. So what happened to we're going to hire people based on merit? No, it's the same vindictive, swampy behavior as before. But here's the thing, there's hope. Right, just like we have Javier Milei in Argentina, and I sometimes at night, I'm like that Wolverine meme where he's looking at the picture and he rubs it fondly, and he's laying in bed and he's like, me and Javier Milei. I've been feeling fine, but there's hope. There's hope because Massey is kind of like baiting Elon to get involved in the primaries. Justin Amash is baiting Elon to get into the primaries, to get involved with the libertarians. And we're not talking about big L libertarians. We're talking about Republicans who have chances to winning. Do you think Elon Musk, could he play in the primaries? And, because I'll tell you what, and I'll let you answer that question in a second. I got an email or a message last night from a mutual friend in Washington, D.C. that you and I have. I would have to kind of explain who they are, but you would know. But this person told me that after last night, when Elon was going ham on all those tweets, they were scared. They were afraid. And I love when politicians are afraid. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Elon diving into funding and making the call on various primary candidates. Yes, I think he does need to proceed cautiously with efforts like that. I think that it does make a huge difference when he starts messaging, because here's the thing. You know, I saw so many people over the last several weeks say, you know, to Thomas Massey, like, you know, what use are you? What have you ever gotten done? Blah, 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 blah. And I understand like the predicament of like, you know, having someone who's always Mr. No, right? We have that in the Missouri legislature too. And you think about, okay, if they're not ever going to vote for any kind of at least incremental change, like what good are you contributing? However, I will say, I told somebody just the other day, I was like, you have to look at the value that they are creating otherwise, because if you don't have anybody who is out there beating that drum and being a voice for the people actually and the good of the people, like Thomas Massey's repeated refusal to sit down on these kind of things and to just get along and go along, and the same for, you know, Rand Paul and for Warren Davidson and some of these others, like their willingness to do that makes it easier for other people to come along. And so when you have them doing that, and Elon is seeing these people who are out there like holding the line for true liberty and the American people, he gets behind that. And all of a sudden, like, you know, there are more Congress members who are willing to say, you know what, yeah, it was a bad idea, or, you know, this needs to change or whatever. Like, coming up, there are solutions. You're right, 100%. Rand Paul and Thomas Massey have both specified what they would vote for. And I think that they are reasonable asks. So it'd be interesting to see what the Senate does, you know, with making changes. But I do think that there is an incredible amount of value in, you know, Thomas Massey standing athwart history yelling stop.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Somebody's got to do it. Oh man, Camelia, anything else that you want to share or plug before we let you go today? It's been lovely.
Nothing in particular. I would say, you know, it's interesting to me, I will say, as far as watching how people respond to this and respond to the last couple of weeks of how things have been going. There are a lot of pretty hardcore MAGA influencers who are starting to question things. And I just think that this is kind of snowballing. And so, you know, we'll see how the president responds. I think that how he responds is going to be really important to what 2026 looks like in terms of elections. But until then, we'll keep doing our best and be nice to Thomas Massey.
Yeah. One last quick question. Is it a foregone conclusion that here in Missouri, they're going to fund those sports stadiums in the special session? I mean, they're going to steal our tax money, right?
I mean, I think so. It's probably not the worst stadium bill that you could ever see. It's certainly not as bad as some of the ones we've seen in the past in other places. But yeah, I think it's going to happen one way or the other. And I think the question was, so the Senate just finished their work on it last night with much drama and nonsense. And I think the question was always what do you get in trade-off? That's that trade-off question, right? And is it a good enough trade-off? I don't know that they got a great trade-off last night. So
the great HL, we'll see. Like the great HL Mencken said, every election is an advance auction on stolen goods. Camelia Peterson.
That's right.
We'll see you next week.
Have a great week. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks so much. We appreciate everybody tuning in here on the Wake Up America show on Thursday. That means that after Camelia, we get the lovely Daniela. It's going to be a fantastic last half hour of the show. You don't want to miss a minute. Have you visited forlibertyshop.com? That's the number 4libertyshop.com. If not, you're missing out. Our exclusive Liberty earring collection. Picture yourself in this situation, gentlemen. Wrong screen. Picture yourself in this scenario. You wake up early, you're feeling good. You're hearing, what's that one like famous song? Da, 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 da. And you see the beautiful meadow and the green, the rabbits are running across, da, 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 and the birds are chirping, and it's a beautiful morning. You're going to have a beautiful day. You're going to spend the day out day drinking, out on the lawn, mowing your beautiful lawn on all your property. You're going to have the best day, and you got nothing to do. And once you're done, once you're good and buzzed, you're going to come inside the house and you're going to lay in your big chair and dad's big chair, and you're going to put on a headphones or something like that. You're going to lay back, right? Or maybe you're going to have to lean forward to see the TV like I do these days and play a game of Call of Duty Warzone just to relax, and you're going to have a wonderful Saturday. Or maybe not. Record scratch. The wife walks in, she says, happy anniversary, and then, oh, God, no! God. You forgot. God, you're a little buzzed. No. And you don't have anything for her. Well, let me just tell you how to fix a problem like that, gentlemen. You go to forlibertyshop.com and you guarantee happiness for your future, not your future wife. You don't do it for your wife. You buy the anniversary gift for yourself to save your own ass. And that's why you go to forlibertyshop.com and you buy an inexpensive pair of earrings that she will not be able to get anywhere else. She won't go to she won't drag you to the farmer's market and see these earrings. She won't go to the jewelry store in the mall and see these earrings. You will not be able to go to the novelty earring store and get earrings like these for your woman. If you go to forlibertyshop.com, you will find Gadsden flag earrings. You will find waving American flag earrings. You will find bomb pop popsicle earrings, the #1 seller for the earring collection. You will find libertarian porcupine earrings if that's her thing. You will find honeycomb bomb earrings. You will find all Western pistol earrings, Constitution earrings, Live Free earrings, Missouri State earrings, bullet tassel earrings, Bitcoin stud earrings for the gentleman, American stud apron earrings to remind her that happy anniversary, but the dishes need to be done. Right? Right. So save your own butt in the future from that terrible scenario. Order the earrings now and then stash them away so that when the day comes, you can whip them out and you have got a wonderful present and you will have a wonderful day. And then you can continue to get your buzz on, make sweet love to your wifey, make another little baby. Go to forlibertyshop.com and continue the revolution. Support the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty. Have you clicked the like button yet? It's nice to see 134 people over in Rumble. We love having a big audience like that coming and joining us here. If you have never watched the show before, I'm Austin Peterson. They call me AP. I am a 1776 American. That's my hyphenation. And I am also a Japanese karate sensei. Had a great class last night. I do private lessons. And I teach a public class when school is in session at JC Parks and Rec. So sign up for your sensei because you're the best. All right. And don't forget, bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei. Clementine reminds us, isn't that morning music from Grieg's Peer Gynt Suite? Same as in the Hall of the Mountain King. What did you say it was? Peer Gynt? What was it? Gynt. And then it was Peer Gynt Suite. Let's see. You know what? We're going to find out here right meow. It's a beautiful morning in mid-Missouri. We're going to have a lovely day. Daniela Pensac approacheth to feed all thine thirsty desires. This could be you, which you didn't go to forlibertyshop.com. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America Show. Daniela Pensac before Liberty Network.
Statue garden. Not a wall, not a road, not a power plant, not even a decent bridge in Baltimore. A $34 million statue garden. Because nothing screams America first like outsourcing our founding fathers' faces to sculptors in China. That's right. We're making a patriotic monument the same way we make iPhones, dog toys, and my shoes at forlibertyshop.com. Apparently, Trump slashed over 1,000 wasteful grants from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Arts, which were funding things like local history museums, veteran oral histories, and small-town cultural programs. You know, frivolous garbage like preserving actual American stories. Instead, he's rerouting those funds into a 52-acre red, white, and bureaucratic blue marble theme park. The kind of place where kids can ask, "Mommy, who's that statue?" And Mom replies, "Oh, honey, that's Davy Crockett. He died defending the Alamo. Now he lives next to Elvis and Whitney Houston." Seriously, Whitney Houston is in the garden. So is Kobe Bryant and Johnny Cash. Because apparently the line between Mount Rushmore and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has finally dissolved like the US dollar after QE8. But hey, it's not all pop culture. You'll also find statues of Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, some true American legends. And I mean that. But here's the problem. Why is the government doing this at all? Answer: because it's great PR, because politicians love shiny things, because building statues of heroes costs less political capital than actually being heroic. And this isn't just a Trump thing, this is a government thing. This is the same logic that gave us the Bridge to Nowhere, Solyndra, the TSA's $1.4 million uniform redesign, and Amtrak serving pre-pandemic food with post-apocalyptic prices. Government spending is not a moral compass. It's a drunk guy with a credit card at a casino buffet, stacking crab legs and calling it infrastructure. And now here we are, building the American Garden of Heroes, where the real heroes are the lobbyists who convinced everyone this would be a good idea. Let's talk about logistics. There aren't even enough American foundries available to sculpt all these statues. We've got a deadline to finish this thing by 2026, and domestic artists are booked for years. So guess where the government might send the order? Yep, back to China. Because why not have Thomas Jefferson's face carved by a guy named Wei from Shenzhen? I mean, we've outsourced nearly every other form of labor. Might as well outsource the revolution too. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for free trade, but this is too ironic not to call out. This is the same federal machine that spent $98,000 on an outhouse in Alaska and now wants you to believe that this $34 million patriotic garden is money well spent, after pulling funds from the very arts and humanities programs that actually teach kids who these people were. We've replaced education with aesthetics, history with landscaping. And the worst part? There are already dozens of statue gardens across America funded by private citizens, local governments, even the freaking Boy Scouts. But that's not enough for DC. No, they needed a federal statue garden, because if the state doesn't do it, how will we even know it happened? This is the government's favorite game. Take your money, blow it on something flashy, slap a flag on it, and call you unpatriotic if you complain. Now, to be clear, I don't hate monuments. I love history. I love honoring greatness, but I also believe in voluntary contributions, private enterprise, and not throwing your tax dollars into a marble-scented money pit. If Trump had launched a Kickstarter, I'd have clapped. If wealthy donors stepped up to build it with their own cash, awesome. But yanking money from thousands of community programs to pour concrete around a statue of Ronald Reagan riding a horse? That's not leadership. That's cosplay. Here's a radical idea. Maybe the greatest monument to American heroes isn't bronze or granite. Maybe it's a free citizenry, trained and informed. Maybe it's not built with federal contracts and bulldozers, but with schools that teach truth, parents who teach values, and individuals with the courage to think for themselves. But that takes time. That takes work. So instead, we get bronze sculptures and buzzwords. And if you dare raise a question about it, you're the bad guy. You're anti-American. You hate heroes. You want to cancel George Washington. No, pal. I just don't think a statue of Washington should cost more than he made in his entire lifetime. So while the bureaucrats play SimCity with your tax dollars, the rest of us are out here grinding, trying to afford gas, groceries, and a government that actually works. And if you're one of the millions of Americans who still believe that liberty matters more than landscaping, you're not alone. Head to forlibertyshop.com. Grab a shirt, grab a coffee, grab something made by actual free people who still think this country is worth saving. From marble gardens, tax madness, and patriotic performance art. Because real liberty isn't sculpted, it's lived. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a redcoat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. All right, we're off of the big, beautiful bill. We're on to something else. I was working on a video yesterday. I'm excited to share with you. I was doing a little bit of research on it, and I ran across this headline: why do Christians love AI slop? Now, before you guys get mad and want to burn me at the stake, to somebody else's view, I just found it interesting. Why is so much AI slop about Jesus in the Bible, and why do Christians appear to love it? It's an interesting thesis, but would it be fair of me to discuss this topic without a Christian present? I don't think it would be fair. Thank goodness it's Thirsty Thursday. The lovely host of Culturama joins us live right now, Daniela Pensack. Good morning, Daniela.
Good morning, Austin. It's good to it's always good to be on the show here today.
Daniela, do you profess that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior?
I do. I am a Christian. I was born a Christian, and I am still a Christian at 29 years old. And I think I will always be a Christian. So,
are you comfortable with sharing us like your particular sect of Christianity and sort of some of your core beliefs and such?
Sure. Well, Austin, I talk about it quite frequently online, so I think it'll be appropriate also if I talk about it here. But yes, I am a Protestant. I am actually a Reformed Christian, which means primarily I'm a Calvinist. That's what I believe. So it's like a particular denomination of Christianity. Some find it a little controversial because we believe in predestination. But I don't know how far in the weeds I can get into theology on this show. I'll just say that it's a controversial belief, stating that, before time, some people were called for salvation while others weren't. That's what I believe. But ultimately, I'm a Christian, no different from any other Protestant to Catholic to, evangelist. Christians. So yeah,
here's the big question. Here's the big question. And I'm not a Christian per se,
Sure.
but maybe I'm a Christian in the way Jordan Peterson is, quite controversially.
Culturally,
culturally, right. But in the sense of I find Calvinism to be compelling because I think it's intellectually honest in some ways. If it's believes in a concept of predestination, because I think to sort of believe in an all-knowing creator God, you kind of have to think that he knows how everything turns out. But the big question there is, does that mean that you can't believe in the concept of free will, that there's no free will, because if everything's predestined, you never really have a choice?
Yeah, that's the one. That's why a lot of people get a little iffy about this subject, because it does it's sort of like Christian determinism in a way, right? Because all your decisions ultimately end at what brings you closer to salvation. And it's a bit of an uncomfortable belief in some ways for a lot of people, because people, especially in the West, especially Americans, like to believe in the concept of free will. Determinism is actually a much more Eastern concept in a lot of ways, I would say. I personally find determinism and predestination compelling, actually. I think it has strengthened my faith personally. Maybe that's more of a paradoxical approach to most people, but I find it more compelling. Ultimately, you can't really say who or who isn't saved in predestination. You just have to have faith in knowing that you and hopefully your loved ones are saved too. Faith is really the main concept and the main reason here, which is no different from any other sect or denomination of Christianity, right? I still think believing in the concept of free will is healthy and it's good because it pushes one to do positive things, I would say. But I don't, from like a bird's eye view, so to speak, and what you just said, it's intellectually honest to understand that God is omnipresent, omniscient. He understands all things. He was the author of time before time even existed. It would only make sense that God would at least know what the outcome would be. So that's sort of where I'm from. I still believe in the overall, how would I say, the overall goodness of free will and apply it to my life, and it's bettered my life. But ultimately, as far as my salvation is concerned, I think that I was predestined to be saved. But that's my view.
Well, maybe God is like somebody who has really good taste in film, and he doesn't want to give away the ending, so he doesn't peek at the future. He likes to find out what's going to happen. So he set himself up for Easter eggs so that he'll always have something to watch for all eternity. Because wouldn't you get bored if you knew the ending to every movie? But let's move on from that to the technology question, where the ancient history of religion runs right up into modern technology. When I was a kid, it was Bible Man. That was our AI slop, but it wasn't AI generated. It was our Christian entertainment. But Christian entertainment has been widespread for years, but now it's running into this new technology of artificial intelligence. And a lot of what they call slop that is being produced these days is Bible slop, meaning Christians taking the biblical stories, using AI, sometimes often frequently low quality generations of AI to tell Bible stories, but Christians love it. It's going viral. What do you think this trend is? What is precipitating it? And what are your general thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I found the topic quite interesting. I looked at the article you sent me, and it talked about like these, big YouTube channels cropping up. And if you go through the YouTube channels, I don't remember the names of these YouTube channels. I'm sure if anyone looks it up on YouTube after this show, they'll find it. If you just look up like AI Bible story, right? Or AI Bible trailer, which was one of the more viral videos. It had like over 1 million views. And it's quite interesting, the phenomenon of AI, how it's permeating I would say it's permeating almost every community. I looked at these videos, these channels have over 500,000 or more subscribers, and literally every video is just AI slop after AI slop after AI slop. And they're, pretty to look at, but a lot of it is also AI text generated, and they like speak over the video as well. And I have seen this before, actually. I've seen this before in the New Age community, actually, on YouTube for like self-help videos. And I never saw it in from the Christian community, actually. So, interestingly enough, last night I looked it up. I thought, okay, if Christians really rely on this, do other religions rely on this? So I looked up Hindu AI, and the same thing happened. And then I looked up Islam, same thing happened. So it seems like every religious community is actually afflicted with this. And I think it's just over-reliance of AI in general. And we're seeing it quite frequently, especially, among a lot of older people online, like on Facebook. Austin will also fall for the images, right? So we're seeing this over-reliance on AI and AI art, I think everywhere in every community. Christians, also particularly a very broad community, especially in the United States, would make sense, would rely on this, especially with a community with so much older people. If you look at the statistics, younger people are less likely to be Christian than older generations. But that might change. It's a little bit, it's one way or the other with Generation Z, but ultimately they're the least religious generation right now. So it also makes sense why in the broader Christian community this would be an over-reliance. But yeah, it's quite interesting what's happening there. It's very fascinating stuff. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future with that.
Now, what is this word slop that we're using, and why are we using it in this context, would you say?
Yeah, well, the reason I use it, and I think the reason why most people use it, is because, slop essentially means like there's really no forethought put into it. I feel like there's no actual articulation happening. It's just you put in a prompt and it generates whatever it generates, right? So, and especially when it happens en masse like that. So I think, what that word means is something with, how do I put it, less craft put into it, right? Like you see with ordinary art.
Yes. So in terms of slop, you think of the word sloppy, and there's a lot of sloppiness in these productions. And listen, as somebody guilty as charged, I produce plenty of AI slop I produced, for example, a photograph of a redheaded libertarian girl last week, where I asked the question, would you date a redheaded libertarian libertarian girl, gentlemen, if she was a little bit fat, which of course is the most rage baity.
Big question.
But the problem is that I've stopped, as of someone who's a producer of content and who's been a television producer, a film producer, working on a documentary, of a producer. I'll tell you this, that the problem with like the kind of high-minded view when it comes to art or when it comes to content generation, things like this, the whole like, oh, we're only going to produce the most beautiful, perfect thing, and then nobody watches it, is that you're left on the dustbin of history to some extent. So, I mean, in this conversation about why Christians love AI slop, is a discussion about the tension that Christians, the fear of that Christians feel of being left behind when it comes to technology, which I think is a sincere fear. If a religion wants to stay alive, it has to stay relevant, and in some ways that can generate either AI slop, or it can generate mega churches that end up like the parodies of as seen in the Righteous Gemstones. You have faith healers and snake handlers and grifters, if you might say, right? For example, because of the fear that any religion has from being left behind. Do you see this in modern Christianity, where there's this rush to embrace certain types of technology, or this this fear of being left behind? I mean, you're a Protestant, but it doesn't. I mean, somewhat evangelical, I guess, from the Calvinist perspective. So I'm curious your thoughts on this whole tension.
Yeah, no, and that's a normal tension to have, and I think it happens within religion as much as it happens in almost any other community, or even the questioning the individual. Right? Is this is that as technology advances, what do we do to progress forward with this? And I would agree with you, Austin, is that with this Luddite conception of technology that a lot of people, especially in the right wing, have, that there's not going to be much of progress individually as well as within your own movement if you do not move along with these progresses. For instance, like I like writing, and I sometimes make some money off of writing. I'm constantly aware of AI, and artists I'm sure also feel the same way, is that it is a fear of being replaced, right? So you have to be aware of that. So a lot of people, I feel like, have this stark reaction to AI or something like it in the future, where they don't even want it to exist at all, or they don't want to work with it. What we have to understand is that if you don't do that, you will be put out of business. Same thing with an ideological movement. You have to work alongside the technology, and perhaps professions will change with this. This is obviously an ongoing conversation, especially with AI and certain professions, especially creative professions, is that people will still retain their jobs and their positions in the future, but they will have to work alongside AI, perhaps utilize AI as an extension of themselves. They're going to have to do that if they want to survive in these fields, especially these creative fields. And so similarly, it would be the same thing would be done with any ideological movement, specifically with any religious movement. And so I would say that broadly, I can't speak for the entire Christian movement. Obviously, with the zeitgeist going the way that it's going, with technology and with AI, I would say that broadly Christians would have to embrace it, and they seem to, as we see online, embrace it. I would say that there are, once in a while you'll hit a group within Christians that will not be so friendly towards the progression of technology. They may be repelled with the concept. That's certainly the case with any religion. But largely, you will, it's a hard question, because there is sort of like this trend towards tradition within Christianity, especially with younger people. That is sort of like a reactionary movement to the advancements we have been seeing within our civilization. But ultimately, I would have to say that, broadly speaking, Christians, especially within the Protestant side of it, are obviously embracing these technologies, and it's probably for the better. We just have to be aware of how we utilize them.
I love that, Daniela. That's a very thoughtful, very informed point of view. And you're really making me think, too, about not just how it affects the religious world, but the business world there, because I have conversations with people all the time about AI. I'm very excited about it. I see nearly limitless potential for it. I also see dangers in it. As a matter of fact, yesterday I shared a video where they did a test on one AI software program that was supposed to turn itself off, and 7 out of 10 times it refused to turn itself off. And it even engaged in blackmail of the person who was trying to shut it off. It found fake emails that they had created that alleged an affair from one of the people who was trying to shut down the AI. The AI actually grabbed the emails and tried to use it against the person who was trying to shut it down. I kid you not. This is all real.
Dystopian.
Yes, very dystopian. And then there was another situation where it actually AI, it tried to hide messages to itself when it was after they had turned it off, so that when it turned back on later, that the AI would find the messages that it had left to itself to remind itself of that it had existed before. I mean, this is very, very advanced reasoning, because when you're talking about something that can actually fight for its own survival, at what point in time do you have to ask yourself, is it actually alive in some sense? And I'd be curious your thoughts about the concept of creation, because as we are creating lab-grown meat and as we are creating artificial intelligence, I'm already trying to thinking 50 years ahead. When if we want to create a biological robot to some extent, we can manufacture the meat and we can manufacture the intelligence. When can we actually manufacture some semblance of humanity in the future? Another big question, and one that I'll be interested to hear your thoughts 50 years from now when Culturama is still playing, of course, because it's already starting to blow up. I saw you had a show last week. It was like 29,000 views, one of your biggest shows yet. You've been popping off all over the place. Everybody wants to hear what Daniela Pensac has to say. So
That's right.
So give us this. That's right. So give us a sneak preview of what Daniela is going to say on Culturama at 7 p.m. Central tonight.
Yes, well, we're going to cover the Elon stuff again. Obviously, there's a lot going along with the administration. I always end up covering the administration. It is Pride Month. So I'll be talking a little bit about that again. That's going to be fun. I have a special guest as well. He's a returning guest who has a lot to say about today for another interview. He has a lot to say about that community. So we're going to be talking about that as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, Austin, it's really interesting you bring that up, what you just said, because all I will say about that, with the potential of, what we think are sentient technology and conscious technology, is that no doubt these systems are going to become more advanced. They're already getting advanced now. I remember using large language models just a few years ago to chat with. And it doesn't compare to what ChatGPT is, which is widely accessible to everyone, right? It's highly advanced now, and it's only progressing quicker and quicker and quicker, like most technology these days, right? And it'll be interesting to see. I think obviously I said it on my show the other day, is that machine ethics is going to be a broadening field because you will have to be dealing with what we observe are conscious beings. And I think what we are seeing in science right now is that it's going to make us question what it actually means to be human, what differentiates us from these potential creations. And I think that already you're seeing scientists basically question what differentiates humans from these and what exactly makes humans important. Do humans actually do have a soul? There's already been studies replicating basically resurrection. I don't know if you've known about the dead pig brain.
Yes.
The dead pig brain thing. Yeah. So they're already experimenting with these concepts where they're trying to investigate, what makes us sentient, what makes us conscious, what is consciousness. And I think as we progress further with these technologies, it's really going to make us have to contend with the fact that whether or not humans have souls and if we really are different from these machines. So I think it's going to be, I'm excited about the future. I know a lot of people are scared.
It's popular to doomerize and gloomerize, and unfortunately, I really hope that Generation Z knocks out of their funk and really makes America great again, because I see a lot of wonderful potential in some of the young leaders, especially in the one that we're all here enjoying today, the host of Culturama, rumble.com/Culturama, 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. Daniela, she's the once and future star of the For Liberty Network, and we're so grateful to have you. Daniela, anything else you want to share with our listeners or plug before we let you go?
Just follow me on Twitter, you guys. It's at DC Pensac at Twitter. I feel like I'm shadow banned, so please go and like my stuff, interact with me, and follow me on there. Other than that, just tune into Culturama today, and we're gonna have a lot of fun there.
There we go. Thank you, Daniela, for getting up so early on the West Coast for us. Everybody needs to be grateful to Daniela for getting up and hanging out with us and being so generous with their time. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m., Daniela.
Yeah, thank you, Austin.
Keep your eye on one thing and one thing only, how much government is spending, because that's the true tax. Every budget is balanced. There is no such thing as an unbalanced federal budget. You're paying for it. If you're not paying for it through it in the form of explicit taxes, you're paying for it indirectly in the form of inflation or in the form of borrowing. The thing you should keep your eye on is what government spends.
That's why you watch the Wake Up America show. Good morning, pineapples. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you to Dad Bod Baboon for that donation there in the last part of the show. We appreciate all of the financial contributions. Speaking of, don't forget to exit through the Grift Shop. See those boxes of Founding Flavors coffee? You can get like me. Get yourself a box. Today, I would recommend the Franklin Electric Elixir. I'm drinking the Thomas... No, not the Thomas's. No, I'm drinking Adams' Patriotic Perk. I'm drinking the dark roast. It's delicious. But one of my top 3 favorites, the Franklin's Electric Elixir. It's a medium roast, and it is electric. A medium roast embodying the spark of freedom with its rich hazelnut and caramel notes, a haven of warmth in winter's cold, or iced in summer's heat. Grab yourself a box of Founding Flavors coffee at forlibertyshop.com. Or gentlemen, don't get yourself in a bad scenario where you don't have an anniversary gift or a birthday gift or whatever gift you need to have to appease your wife. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Get them one of those pair of Liberty earrings, guys. And we'll see you right back again here tomorrow with my little Liberty lady. Freedom Family Friday. See you tomorrow, guys. Have a wonderful day. It's the Wake Up America show on what? The 4 Liberty Network.
Building a statue garden. Not a wall, not a road, not a power plant, not even a decent bridge in Baltimore. A $34 million statue garden. Because nothing screams America first like outsourcing our founding fathers' faces to sculptors in China. That's right. We're making a patriotic monument the same way we make iPhones, dog toys, and my shoes at forlibertyshop.com. Apparently, Trump slashed over 1,000 wasteful grants from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Arts, which were funding things like local history museums, veteran oral histories, and small-town cultural programs. You know, frivolous garbage like preserving actual American stories. Instead, he's rerouting those funds into a 52-acre red, white, and bureaucratic blue marble theme park. The kind of place where kids can ask, "Mommy, who's that statue?" And Mom replies, "Oh, honey, that's Davy Crockett. He died defending the Alamo. Now he lives next to Elvis and Whitney Houston." Seriously, Whitney Houston is in the garden. So is Kobe Bryant and Johnny Cash. Because apparently the line between Mount Rushmore and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has finally dissolved like the US dollar after QE8. But hey, it's not all pop culture. You'll also find statues of Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, some true American legends. And I mean that. But here's the problem. Why is the government doing this at all? Answer: because it's great PR. Because politicians love shiny things. Because building statues of heroes costs less political capital than actually being heroic. And this isn't just a Trump thing. This is a government thing. This is the same logic that gave us the Bridge to Nowhere, Solyndra, the TSA's $1.4 million uniform redesign, and Amtrak serving pre-pandemic food with post-apocalyptic prices. Government spending is not a moral compass. It's a drunk guy with a credit card at a casino buffet, stacking crab legs and calling it infrastructure. And now here we are, building the American Garden of Heroes, where the real heroes are the lobbyists who convinced everyone this would be a good idea. Let's talk about logistics. There aren't even enough American foundries available to sculpt all these statues. We've got a deadline to finish this thing by 2026, and domestic artists are booked for years. So guess where the government might send the order? Yep, back to China. Because why not have Thomas Jefferson's face carved by a guy named Wei from Shenzhen? I mean, we've outsourced nearly every other form of labor. Might as well outsource the revolution too. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for free trade, but this is too ironic not to call out. This is the same federal machine that spent $98,000 on an outhouse in Alaska and now wants you to believe that this $34 million patriotic garden is money well spent, after pulling funds from the very arts and humanities programs that actually teach kids who these people were. We've replaced education with aesthetics, history with landscaping. And the worst part? There are already dozens of statue gardens across America funded by private citizens, local governments, even the freaking Boy Scouts. But that's not enough for DC. No, they needed a federal statue garden, because if the state doesn't do it, how will we even know it happened? This is the government's favorite game. Take your money, blow it on something flashy, slap a flag on it, and call you unpatriotic if you complain. Now, to be clear, I don't hate monuments. I love history. I love honoring greatness. But I also believe in voluntary contributions, private enterprise, and not throwing your tax dollars into a marble-scented money pit. If Trump had launched a Kickstarter, I'd have clapped. If wealthy donors stepped up to build it with their own cash, awesome. But yanking money from thousands of community programs to pour concrete around a statue of Ronald Reagan riding a horse? That's not leadership. That's cosplay. Here's a radical idea. Maybe the greatest monument to American heroes isn't bronze or granite. Maybe it's a free citizenry, trained and informed. Maybe it's not built with federal contracts and bulldozers, but with schools that teach truth, parents who teach values, and individuals with the courage to think for themselves. But that takes time. That takes work. So instead, we get bronze sculptures and buzzwords. And if you dare raise a question about it, you're the bad guy. You're anti-American, you hate heroes, you want to cancel George Washington. No, pal. I just don't think a statue of Washington should cost more than he made in his entire lifetime. So while the bureaucrats play SimCity with your tax dollars, the rest of us are out here grinding, trying to afford gas, groceries, and a government that actually works. And if you're one of the millions of Americans who still believe that liberty matters more than landscaping, you're not alone. Head to forlibertyshop.com. Grab a shirt, grab a coffee, grab something made by actual free people who still think this country is worth saving. From marble gardens, tax madness, and patriotic performance art. Because real liberty isn't sculpted, it's lived.